Hi, this is Nagesh Prasad, and we're going to have a short video, but a very important one, on the power consumption and the carbon footprint of the cloud computing industry, how it is an issue to the society, and why it is an issue to the society. Also, we'll also be trying to answer a few questions like what is going to happen if we ignore this issue and move forward. Also, we're going to see who has to take the lead here in trying to solve this issue. Okay, so that's the agenda. Now we're going to get started with what cloud computing is so that we have a basic thing before we start getting into the details. Cloud computing is basically converting all your work, finances, hospital information, everything into digital data and storing it somewhere in storage facilities or data centers. This data can later be retrieved over the internet via various applications. So that is what cloud computing is. Cloud computing, at the center of it, needs a lot of data centers working 24 bar 7 so that we have the facility to use them. Okay, now getting to the power consumption, the carbon footprint the cloud computing industry is leaving behind. Okay, in order to get that picture, let us first see how much data is being generated in the cloud computing industry. In the past few years, we have managed to generate over 1.2 zettabytes of data. That is a lot of data, which means, and also this amount of data what we have generated in the past few years, it is going to grow by a factor of 44 in the next 3 to 4 years. Okay, so taking that into picture, we'll be looking at a lot more data centers in the future, and a lot more data centers mean a lot more power is needed to keep these data centers running. So where does this power come from? As of now, there are two sources that all the companies are going to. One is a clean power source and the other one is a dirty power source. Most of the companies now are using a dirty power source. A dirty power source is the one which uses non-renewable natural resources to power their resources. For example, companies may be relied on coal, they might be relied on diesel, they might be relying on nuclear power. They are all dirty power sources, meaning they give us power, but at the same time they harm the environment. Since most of the companies are depending on dirty power sources, it is causing harm to the environment by increasing the carbon footprint. This is what we call the carbon footprint. So basically, when you upload a video to the YouTube, at the end of it, somewhere you're just releasing a puff of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. That is what today's data centers are doing. So this is a very important issue to the society, because at the end of it, we all live on the same planet and we don't want that planet to get hotter than it already is. We don't want the greenhouse effect. So this is going to be an issue for the society for sure. I've already given the reasons why it is going to be an issue. Now let us consider the fact what is going to happen if we ignore this issue. If we just go on, just ignore the issue that the carbon footprint and the power consumption is nothing. We just go ahead with the fact. What happens then? What happens then is we are going to end up consuming all of our renewable, non-renewable natural resources, end up with a lot of carbon dioxide in our environment, which is really bad, which it is going to cause unfavorable climate changes all over the world. And a recent research by scientists has revealed that the carbon footprint of the world, it is going to peak around 2015, that is the next year. And if something, a good action is not taken within that time, we will not be able to avoid a climate shift all over the world. So this is what is going to happen if we ignore this fact of power consumption and carbon footprint of the cloud computing industry. Now, we know why it is an issue. We know what is going to happen if we ignore this issue. At the same time, we also have to take into picture who is the one who has to come in and solve this issue. Now, there are two stakeholders here. One is the country where the data centers are being housed. The other one is the company who own these data centers. And I think it should be a joint effort from both sides. From the company side, it should be an effort on the part that they use efficient data centers, less power consuming ones, and the ones which don't produce heat. As of now, there are so many companies working on it. Google has already started working on it. Um it has very good data centers, chillerless data centers. They're doing their best at it. That is what the companies can do. And there is also one more thing that most of the cloud computing companies are blamed of. That is the secrecy they maintain about what power is being consumed by their data centers, how much greenhouse gases are they releasing into the environment, who has to take the lead effort here in solving this issue of the power consumption and the carbon footprint that the cloud computing industry is leaving behind. Is it the government which is allowing the companies to set up the data centers in their countries, or is it the companies who own the data centers themselves? Well, I think it has to be a joint effort. The effort will have to come in from both sides to solve this issue effectively. And from the countries and the government side, they have to set up strict laws specifying that the company which are setting up the data centers in their country will have to be transparent enough in providing all the data which is needed to calculate the footprint, the carbon footprint of that company to the country. This is one law which has to be done. And the second one is to specify that the companies which are setting up the data centers use only clean sources of energy like solar energy or wind energy. So these are some two important steps that have to be taken from the government side so that they have a hold over the power consumption and the carbon footprint that the cloud computing is leaving behind. At the same time, the companies have their responsibilities as well. They will have to choose their data center sites carefully and also make sure that they have enough clean power sources to run their data centers efficiently, which means they should effectively have a good siting policy in their company. By research which has been done recently, Google has the best siting policy, and IBM is the one who is trying to make their servers most efficient when compared to all other companies. So these are some of the initiatives that the company have to take and make it happen to solve this issue effectively. And that is the end of this video.